This show is entirely listener supported. That's you. You're listening. If you want to find out how to get bonus episodes, extra episodes, early content, all kinds of stuff, patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. I have to have probably
an exorcist come out.
Yeah, I was gonna say handyman or exorcist to take a look at this thing, but
have you looked on Google, because there are those handyman exorcist hybrid shops now? It's really, really convenient.
I really like people who specialize, though. I don't really trust, like jack of all trades bullshit. I don't like that. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Cannata.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens. Hey, Jeff, do you remember when that ice bucket challenge took over the entire internet?
Back in diggity 14.
Yep.
If I crawl back into the recesses of my mind, I can seem to recall 2014. It's like it was yesterday.
We didn't even have Amazon Echo then.
I know, right? So, I wondered, how did we get by?
I don't know how we lived without Amazon Echo. Available now.
Back with our iPhone 5S's.
Gross.
What the hell were we thinking?
I don't know. I don't know how we lived. We were like animals. Here's the thing. Everybody, when the Ice Bucket Challenge came out, initially everybody was like, cute, fun, Ice Bucket Challenge. Oh, all my favorite celebs are doing it.
Yeah.
And blah, 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 raising awareness. And then, like the internet does, we got about a week in, and we got all the think pieces.
Yeah. It's like everything else.
The fucking think pieces.
It crests, and then there's the backlash.
We can only love something for so long, Jeff.
And then we have to hate it.
Then we must destroy it.
Yeah.
We must destroy it. But no, the idea was there were all these things on, I remember there was one on Vox, there was one on The Verge, which I guess is the same. But there were a few different things where it was just like, everybody talking about slacktivism and how this wasn't this wasn't really going to help. This is people that are just doing this on YouTube because they want to be like celebrities, or they want their moment in the sun. And
yeah, man, Twitter activism isn't real activism. You can't just hashtag something and raise awareness. You can sit on your couch and you can get on your Twitters and you can tweet about things, but there's no real change, man.
Yeah. Well, guess what? You fucks. You cynical fucks of the internet. There's some scientists who recently made a huge breakthrough in ALS research. There's a protein called TDP-43, which is a protein that can be found outside of the nuclei of brain cells of people with ALS. And they found out that by replacing TDP-43 with something that makes your body think you already have it, brain cells can start reassembling and fixing themselves. And do you know where they got the fucking money to run the trial?
In a couple of ice buckets?
In so many fucking ice buckets, dog.
Yeah. $220 million was raised from the Ice Bucket Challenge, right? And these guys are saying that the only way they were even able to kind of investigate these edge cases, these sort of little shoot for the moon, home run attempts at solutions, is because they had the extra funds.
Yeah. This is something where with their current amount of money, with their current budget, they have to prioritize. You've got to follow the numbers. You got to play the stats. Right? Researchers are constantly kind of playing Moneyball, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of like, well, this is how much money we have. This is the time that we have. What is the study that is most likely to yield results, right? Because that's how you do things effectively. That's how you stay efficient.
Well, it's also, it's the kind of thing where how do you justify spending the few dollars that you have on something that might have a great upside, but is very unlikely to work? It seems like a low percentage.
You don't want a home run. You want to get on base.
Exactly.
And so they were not thinking about this TDP-43 study until they got this extra money, and they were like, fuck it, we're running the study.
Yeah.
And this could be an incredibly huge breakthrough.
It's pretty amazing, and it's pretty heartening to think that all that slacktivism that got so much backlash actually possibly led to something tangible.
But like Anthony and Jeff, but like there are people who are just all talking, they don't do much, and like
Twitter
blah, blah.
isn't doing things.
Here's the thing: 17 million participants ended up in the Ice Bucket Challenge. 17 million people, little videos on Facebook and YouTube and whatever. And even though most of those people did not give money, even though the lion's share of those people did not give money, it was put in people's faces so much that they were able to raise $220 million that they wouldn't have raised before. The ALS Research could not have run an ad campaign that would have done this.
No way.
They could not have run a donation drive that would have done this.
I would venture to guess that people donated money in that cause for the first time ever. Like they had never donated to anything before.
Can I be a super honest person here? The last time I thought about ALS before this Ice Bucket Challenge, because I don't know anybody in my life that suffers from it, I literally thought about Lou Gehrig. I think about people.
Oh, it is his disease.
He did make the disease. Lou Gehrig did set this disease loose upon the world.
People don't give him. They give him a lot of credit for great batting. Batting. He's a good batter.
Yeah, but he's an amazing baseball player. But you know what, man? People forget that in his volcanic lair, in the deep recesses of the earth, he was doing some real evil.
And I think that really should not be glossed over.
No!
In the whole spectrum of his biography. Yes, great baseball player.
Sure. And that is obviously the most important thing he did was play baseball.
Yes.
That's the most important thing anybody
could do.
The most important thing you could do is play sports professionally. For the world.
And it covers over any potential wrongdoing. I'm not going to argue that you can't have a whole lot of wrongdoing in your life and still be a sports star. And we should and be applauded, right? And just because you've let loose a disease that ravages many, many people, I still think your sports achievement is really the most important thing.
I only watched like half of the biography about him. We are correct, right?
Really uninformed about it.
But no, like that's the last thing that I thought about ALS is like there are so many instances in pop culture where people parody the I'm the luckiest man in the world. Or that's the last time I thought about it. This is a brilliant use of something fun, something that people want to do to put this issue in front of people. And what's actually deceptively brilliant about it, I think, is one of the things that its critics were the most contemptuous of, which is the Ice Bucket Challenge did not tell anybody anything about ALS.
Which is, you're right. It got the most criticism for that. It's like a whole bunch of people are watching these videos and coming away with no knowledge. No actual knowledge.
But they went and they donated. So.
I donated.
It's great. Yeah. I mean, I did too. And it's great for people to become informed. But in all honesty, what those fucking researchers want and what the people with ALS want is the money for the results. They would love it if you were informed.
Sure.
It'd be great if you were informed and you cared.
But it's cool because they're super informed.
Yeah.
And if they have dollars to act on that knowledge, it's really helpful.
You would think that the public being greater informed about something would lead them to action. It does not.
Oh my gosh, that is so true.
That
is so true.
There's a lot of shit that we know is going on in the world. I don't do a goddamn thing about it.
There's a lot of willful ignorance in the world that is disturbing on so many levels.
But if you can get me to watch the end of a funny video, and I give you $50, it's great. And so what this means is that, slacktivism, sure, a lot of these people are not doing a goddamn thing. A lot of these people are just hashtagging and walking away and feeling better about themselves because we've all seen the studies about like getting the little hit of dopamine, right? Talking about writing a novel makes you less likely to write a novel because your friends all go, good for you for trying to write a novel.
And you got the thing you needed and you used up the energy that you were going to put into writing the novel to get that thing you needed, and done, you can walk away satisfied.
Exactly. So yes, a lot of people were out there just tweeting and retweeting and sharing links to these videos. But if 17 million people put something in front of people's faces, it's going to have some sort of effect.
Yeah, and I think I think we see that across a whole variety of things that aren't necessarily so altruistic. If you look at something like free-to-play video games, you know, where a very small percentage of the player base pays for the rest of the people to play.
Yeah.
I think the same principles are at work here, where you have, it's kind of okay to have people just phoning it in, literally.
Yeah.
To literally just be using a hashtag or sort of making themselves feel better in no fundamentally useful way. But because they are part of that tidal wave, the 1% that is actually motivated by the awareness will pay for everybody else. And I think that that's a beautiful, brilliant, kind of magical thing that happens that makes it okay. And all the cynical, snobby a-holes who can sit on their high horse and say, well, you're not actually doing anything. I kind of feel like this refutes that pretty succinctly.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I think that's the thing. And I try, I mean, clearly I do this myself and I try to limit it in my life, but my first reaction to everything for a very long time, for most of my life, was immediate cynicism, was immediate, like, well, let's poke the holes in this. Let's find the chinks in the armor because we have to fix it.
Right.
We have to fix it first and then we can do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what I realized is you just wind up poking a lot of holes in things and not doing very much.
Right. Yeah.
Whether it's in every part of your life, whether it's doing good, well, it's like, oh man, well, so many charities give so much of the money that you give them to administrative fees, right? So I don't give to charity. Or
yeah, there's always a reason not to.
Yeah, like I could do this, or I could create this thing, but if I create this thing, is it too similar to what somebody else has done? Is it really the perfect thing that I want it to be? Should I bother creating it at all? This is a thing that we're kind of wired to do. For whatever reason, we are wired to look at something and go, not going to work.
Well, let me ask you this question. Do you translate this effect down to a much more personal level? Because I find myself going through that kind of debate in my head on a personal level when when I see one guy asking for money on the street corner. You know, the people are like, oh, they're probably just using it to buy drugs, or, oh my gosh, that, you know, that person could make more in an hour than getting a job would yield. And, you know, I feel like there's a lot of those same excuses, and I feel like I'm less inclined to give money to a needy person that I see standing on a street corner with a sign than I am giving money to an organization that I know to be reputable. And I don't know if that's right or wrong.
So here is a thing that happened to me over the weekend. I was in San Francisco for a friend's wedding and didn't need, but thought that it was time to get a new suit for the wedding, right? Like
and we all know there are no homeless people in San Francisco.
There are no homeless people in San Francisco, so I bought my suit, and there was no incident really or anything that made me think that I shouldn't buy the suit. And I wore the suit, and it's a lovely suit, and I have no regrets.
It's a fantastic
and that's
story.
The story.
Yeah.
So I bought a suit. I came out, and I felt like as I walked out, I was like, this suit is a little more expensive than it should have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I shouldn't have, but it's like, it was my birthday and it's a friend's wedding and I needed a new suit. And I was like, okay, and I get out and there is a woman on the street, a younger woman, with a dog and a sign that says that she is pregnant and she needs to get back to New York.
Wow. And that dog is the father?
And that dog was the father.
Oh my God. That is not right.
And you'd think San Francisco would be okay with it, but apparently she was shunned, which is why she needed to get back to New York.
Wow.
Don't
let anything go in New York.
She had 2 dogs and a sign that said she was pregnant and that she needed to go back to New York to her family, or to friends or something. And I looked at it and in my head, I immediately started calculating, like, would this suit have paid for airfare for her and her dogs to go back to New York? Could I have sent this woman to New York if I needed to? And immediately it popped into my head, what if she's lying? What if she's lying about any part of it?
Yeah.
She probably is, because in my life I've run into a lot of people, especially in New York and in New Orleans, where the homeless people are scamming you.
Right.
Like, I've had it happen. I've had a guy be like, give me $5 for food, and I'm like, we're right outside of a restaurant, I will buy you a whole meal right now.
Yeah.
And they're like, fuck you.
Right.
I've had that happen, right?
Yeah.
And so we tend to get a little cynical about it, and I don't think that this cynical reaction, I don't think it's necessarily entirely innate. I think part of it is learned.
For sure. And I'm one of those people that hates being had more than almost anything. I hate rewarding behavior that I find to be morally objectionable. And so I often will live in that place of like, well, the guy that comes up to me at the gas station is like, hey man, you just give me a few bucks because I ran out of gas. And I was like, yeah, sure, you ran out of gas. My wife, on the other hand, is a beautiful, wonderful, amazing person. And her perspective is, even if they're lying, they probably can use that $10 more than I need that $10.
Yeah.
Or $5 or whatever it is. That I can afford to give that person a couple of bucks and still, even if they are the kind of person that you hate, Jeff, it's okay.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time with that, honestly.
I really do too. And then, you think about the things that you waste your money on every day, and you're like,
yeah, exactly.
Fuck. And that's the thing, is I do feel like you feel a lot of guilt afterwards. And I wonder why we put up these sort of weird defensive things that keep us from doing the simple thing that makes us feel better.
Right.
In the case of my story, the simple thing is not sending a stranger to New York on an airplane. That was like I was getting a little crazy.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to protect myself from doing something that felt good, like giving her, some money to help, I was like, well, any part of that could be a lie.
Yeah.
And I immediately did that. And I knew I would feel bad later anyway. Like, that's the thing, is you're going to feel bad later anyway.
Right.
So why not just do it?
Yeah. And I think that there's something, with this ALS thing, there's something really magical about sort of disconnecting the horrors of the disease with the act. Like, throwing a bucket of ice on your head is kind of a silly, fun thing.
Yeah.
Right. And there was something kind of cool about just letting it be this very positive, silly, fun thing that could spread and people could do and have a good time with, and didn't need to be bogged down with the details of what the funding was about.
Well, and we've talked before about studies that have been done where people who were told a story about kids who were going through financial crises, and there's that one group that was just told the story.
Right.
And the other group was told the story and told that they were going to be asked for money at the end of the story.
Yeah.
And the group that wasn't asked for money
was more empathetic. Yeah.
Felt more like they should give these people money. And so I think there was a lot of brilliant stuff about the Ice Bucket Challenge that kind of removed us from all of that psychology.
Right.
That protective psychology that has us looking out for number one.
Yeah.
And I think, it's okay to get it's okay to have cynical thoughts. Cynical thoughts can't be stopped. Your thoughts are not you. Your thoughts are a reaction to something.
And there also is sort of a layer of protection that we build up to try to not be naive.
But it's important to be like, well, is it important to point out that something may not be doing the most good if it is literally not doing any harm? Yeah. That's, I think, the big thing.
Yeah.
Do we need to point out that it's not doing as much good as it could possibly be doing in an ideal world? Or do we need to shut the fuck up because it's not hurting anybody?
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt anybody.
Right. And it could be doing good. That's why we're going to introduce the We Have Concerns, stick your head in a satchel of bees challenge. Mm-hmm. I think that'll real catch on.
We're trying to get Nicolas Cage to be our celebrity spokesperson.
Yeah. We've been contacting his people, and we're anxiously awaiting their response. A letter writing campaign, I think it was the smartest thing we could have done.
We did get one initial response that said, LOL, seriously LOL. Mm-hmm. And I normally would do literally anything.
Yeah, which is an odd response. I think the next step is to actually, the problem probably is that he doesn't have access to any bees. So I think we should just probably send the Nicolas Cage estate some bees.
Yeah, we're going to put Nicolas Cage's personal address in the description of this episode.
If you have any bees,
or if you can find bees, if you can order bees, find it in your heart to send bees to Nicolas
send
Cage.
Cage bees.
How do you guys feel about this? Do you think you're overly cynical? Do you believe that slacktivism is a thing, or are you generally more optimistic about all this stuff? You can hashtag that stuff, Cage Bees, and send that to @acarboni
or @Jeff Canada.
And hey, you know, you can't see it right now, but we just dumped hot water over our heads.
That was a really dumb idea.
It was a stupid idea, and we have some minor burns, but we're hoping that it will raise awareness for patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.
Please find it in your heart to either scald yourself or send us money.
Find it in your heart to send money to a guy who literally told a story about buying an expensive suit.
Suits for Carboni.
Suits for Carboni.patreon.com.
Because dressing like a pauper will not stand.
It will not stand. I've been watching a lot of Hannibal.